Howdy, howdy. It is Friday, August 7th, 2020. I am Angela Hooper Minifield, and this is your HR Moment with Minifield and Associates. So, hopefully, you guys had a great week and have been doing great things as it pertains to growing yourself, learning how to better equip your team, and just making the best of the situations that we have. And so, just to give you a little update, I guess the first thing I should do is thank those of you who were able to listen to my first radio show yesterday. As you probably heard, I think it went pretty well. I definitely had a few technological issues, but that's all to be considered when you're doing something new. And so I share that and not try to hide it, because I want to encourage people to try to do things new and not worry about whether or not you get it perfect. So that's the first thing. And then also continue to thank those of you who watch the Black Entrepreneurs Institute show that is located on the Empowered Living Network on Facebook. And so today's HR topic, and for those of you who are new to my show or my HR Moments on my Facebook page, I like to come on Facebook and just use this as an opportunity and other social platforms to help supervisors grow and become better equipped. Because here's what we know. More times than not, people are promoted because they're technically sound, but they have yet to master the expertise required to really lead and manage people. And so as a result of that, I've made it my life's work, and this is what I call my niche, to really help grow and equip supervisors. And so as such, let's see if I go the right way, BEST, Building and Equipping Supervisors and Teams, Supervisory Academy and Symposium. And so these HR moments are designed to help you become a better supervisor. So today's question I thought was, hey, Kelly. Hey, Audrey, I just saw your post. So that's my sister, Audrey. Some of you may have not met her. She lives in Milwaukee, and Kelly is one of my favorites. She works for the city of Newark. So that baby girl, I said hello. So today we're going to talk a little bit about, as supervisors, can we terminate an employee based on their social media activity? So that could be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So what do you think? If you guys are still watching, yes, no. Can you terminate someone because of what they post on social media? Right now, I would say we live in the cancel culture. Hey, Renee, society where people do things and immediately, oh my goodness, Marsha, miss your girl. We do, we see it happening all the time, right? People do something on social media and they lose their job. So I'm not asking you if it does happen, if it happens, because we know it does. I'm asking you if it's legal. Right? Like, as a supervisor, would I be within my rights and within my authority? And what I really care about as a supervisor is, will it not be overturned? Because to me, the worst thing, or one of the worst things that can happen, is I terminate somebody, we go to hearing, they appeal it or whatever, and then they make me hire them back. That is like my pet peeve. And for the record, that has happened to me. So don't be discouraged if that's happened to you as well. Oh, Audrey, great answer. Audrey said, it depends. Audrey says, what are they putting on social media, right? That, Audrey, you nailed it. So if I had a gift to give away today, it would go to you. Now, so what did you say, Kelly? It doesn't seem like it would be legal. There are occasions. You are correct, Kelly. So let's dig into it just a little bit, right? So we've seen things, of course, that people have gotten fired for, and we're wondering, really? Should they be fired for that? But there are occasions where you can be. Now, where most employees want to, hang their hat, they want to say, well, what about the First Amendment, right? Freedom of speech. In the United States of America, right? the government, the Constitution says that we have free speech. So if we have free speech, why can't we use it any way that we want to? Well, it's not that your speech, it's not free. And I don't know where free speech comes from, literally, because, there's no cost for speech. But what they're saying is you have the right to say and or do things as you desire, right? Because you're free as an American. You can say what you want to say. There shouldn't be a consequence for it, but not in totality. So even in a civil matter, for instance, you have free speech, but if you were to say something slanderous against me, technically free speech would not protect you from that or from my lawsuit. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly are some of the limitations. So protected concerted activities are one, right? So what does that look like? And that's been unionized and governed. So if I were to get on Facebook to talk about the work conditions, and what also made me think about this, I don't know if you guys saw this article, but a young lady in Georgia posted a picture of her school and the hallways were crowded. Nobody had on masks. And I haven't read the whole thing yet, but initially it sounded like, they wanted to suspend her for putting that out, right? Well, she was complaining about the conditions. We're supposed to be in a safe environment. And so let's say I was working somewhere and the environment was not safe. They were violating safety hazards. The working conditions were not acceptable. If I posted that on social media, even though it reflects negatively on the organization, guess what? That would be protected speech, right? Because it falls under the category of protected concerted activities. And as a result of that, the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, which is a federal agency, would enforce my right to be able to do so. Also, if employees talk to each other about the work conditions, and they use social media to do it. Now, I don't subscribe to this. Let's be really clear. I don't think we should get on social media and talk about how bad our jobs are, but it is protected. So I'm talking about the difference between the law and what happens, okay? Now, let's talk about political messages, right? Because we see that as a reason why a lot of people get in trouble. Well, there are some states that do protect that messaging. Now, I can tell you from the federal side, and again, I did federal for 28 and a half years, you would want to be really careful about what you said and did politically, especially if your page is attached to anything that talks about your title and what you do within the federal government. Because the Hatch, I know, Renee, I was going to bring that up, but thanks. The Hatch Act protects requires that we exercise, we as federal employees, neutrality. Now, Renee just brought up, and she's exactly right, that the young lady at the school, her suspension was overturned. But you're correct, Renee, they didn't have a right to suspend her, because if we go back to what I said earlier, if you're complaining about something that compromises your safety and makes it difficult for you to either do your job and for her go to school, she has a right to complain about that and complain on social media. And let me just say, Renee, I love that emoji. That is too cute. And the eye wink, I really like that, but I digress. So yes, if we're talking about conditions in our workplace, and again, talking to employees, but political activities, you may, it's not a path for private employers. You may be protected or may not. Again, you need to know what your state laws say. Now let's talk about off-duty posts, things that you're doing, because mind you, sometimes people are at work posting, and that's part of the reason why they got fired. And then sometimes they're posting off duty. So so we're clear, if you're posting about your activities on social media after hours, are they legal? Because maybe it's not so much that you posted, but you told us you're doing illegal things outside of work. So if your activities are illegal, there is a chance that post could get you terminated. And of course, retaliatory. If an employee takes action against an employee who reports a problem online, you know that retaliation is not going to work, right? So you will get in trouble for that. So people also want to know, okay, what's okay for you to post, like, or share? And so again, you can vent about your job, but you have to make sure that it doesn't compromise the company. So even if it's insulting, though, and I've seen this where people have insulted their employers and then the supervisor fired them, you can't fire them if they talk about you. So technically, if somebody had talked about me, I could not have fired them, and I better not retaliate. So now let's talk about some incidents. So I have a few examples and I want to see, and thank you guys for jumping in and chiming. It makes it so much easier to do these lives when people engage. So thank you. So somebody posted on social media, first day at work, OMG, so dull. Should they be fired for that? What do you think? Is that a fireable offense? I'm waiting for the messaging to catch up. So they said, first day of work, OMG, so dull. Is this fireable? Yes or no? Come on, Renee and Audrey, jump in. So the answer to this one is the person, Marsha says no. Okay, no, okay. Thank you, Marsha. But the person actually was fired. Now, Audrey says no too. So I don't know if they appealed it, but they did get fired for saying their job was dull. And I would say part of the reason why it may not have been protected by the National Labor Relations Board is because dullness is not a concerted activity. Renee said stupid, but not a fireable offense. But it's not protected, guys. Like, is having a dull job going to impede you from doing your work or make you unsafe, right? So certain posts are protected, but it's I don't know. So I would love to hear more about that particular case. But let me give you another one. Does anyone know where I can find a very discreet hitman? Yes, it's been that kind of day. I think we're all going to get this one right. But I'll read it again, and I shouldn't be laughing because that's not funny that somebody posted that. Okay. The post was, does anyone know where I can find a very discreet hitman? Yes, it's been that kind of day. Should this employee be terminated for this post? Yes? No? Come on, Renee. Audrey, y'all doing good. So Marsha said immediately, yes. Renee, geez, I know, right? Well, of course, they were fired. And especially when people say things like this after there have been incidents, yeah, you can't say that. And of course, I'm sure Damien, really, did you say no? We're going to have to talk. You can't talk about that. That's a threat. That's a veiled threat. And trust me, I have terminated someone for less. I'll have to tell you about the time I got threatened at work in another video. But yes, I have fired people for less. Okay, I got one more. So they use the SH word first. You guys know I don't use profanity. It says, anyone know how to pass a drug test in 24 hours? Now, this was a person, just so we get some clarity, that was not yet hired. So should the company continue with the process? It doesn't, Damien says, these are good questions, guys. Damien says, what if they were joking? Damien, do you mean about the hitman? But either way, it really doesn't matter. Marsha said, Gunner. Yeah, the person, they had made an official job offer to them, and someone saw the post. So guess what? Bye-bye job offer. They didn't get the job. Now, it could have been planned. Damien is exactly right. Exactly. Marsha said, shred the paperwork. I love it, Marsha. Thank you. Shred it. But, and they could have been planned. Damien is exactly right. But if you're a potential employer and you're trying to add to the company and add someone to your team, you gotta be like, there's such a thing as like, flashing red, like do not enter, don't go. And then there's the yellow lights, right? The caution, slow down. So while I would not say that this was a red light, if I were hiring, it would be a caution. I would want to slow down because here's what we know and what we see all the time as supervisors and managers, right? We hire somebody and then it takes us twice as long to get rid of them, right? Because their activity is protected. Damien says, if they are that silly to post that on social media before they got the job, they deserve to have the offer rescinded. I so agree, Damien. Again, it's not like terrible, but it's enough to make me stop and think, right? Just stop and think. And you got to think about, again, the culture of your organization. Who do you want on your team? And if you have the ability to slow the path down a little bit and not make a crucial mistake, then you better. Yes, Audrey, I so agree. Audrey says, watch what you say. And that's a great way to kind of encapsulate what we've discussed today. So as we know, today's theme was, we were talking about, can you terminate an employee for social media activity? And the short answer is yes. Yes, you can. You can. But do you fire them all? Let's see, Damien. Oh, I got some questions. If it's a competitive hiring process, then easier to go with the next best candidate. So true. And Damien, I'd even add something else to it. It would make me wonder what I missed, right? Like, what's my screening process? Maybe I need to have some other things in the process. Now, Renee, you said, am I required to allow an employer to view my private page? Ooh, Renee, that's a good one. Okay, no. In most states, the answer is no. You are not required to allow your employer to view your page. But if your page is public and anybody can see it, an employer is able to take action based on some of the things that they see on your page. So, Facebook gives us some flexibilities, who can see what, and if you don't know it, and, this is not necessarily an HR moment, but I'd be happy to show you guys, but you can separate your Facebook contacts, right? And so everybody doesn't have to see every post. So certain things you can show to everybody, some things you can show to family, some things you can show to business associates, right? So everybody can't see everything. The problem happens is if somebody comments on the post, but they're connected with your coworker, then now they can see it because they can see their coworker's comments, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't make that confusing. So keep your page private. There's a reason why people have multiple pages. Like, I have a business page and a personal page for obvious reasons. But for the most part, I'll share what's on my business page to my personal page because, there's not a whole lot I won't say either place. But I did have an employee that was following me and my page was just public. And you guys will find this funny. So I had traveled to Memphis. This was after I moved to Missouri. So I had traveled to Memphis, and when I was there, I reached out to a girlfriend. I got some Grizzlies tickets. Y'all know I love sports, and went to a basketball game. She wrote OIG. That's the Office of Inspector General for the federal government, where you report fraud, abuse, and like theft in the federal government. So fraud, abuse, and theft. And she reported that I was stealing from the government because I was flying into town to go to basketball games and then promote my business. At that time, that's when I used to hang out with Beachbody a whole lot. Again, y'all can see, I digress. But anyway, she wrote a letter and I had to be investigated. And the only reason why she saw that picture of me at that basketball game, I was actually with Lachelle, is because my page is public. So I say all that to say, my employer then, to Renee, to go back full circle, saw that same post. knew that I had been at the basketball game and I had flown in town that day, yada, yada, yada. Of course, there was no validity to this claim. She's probably watching this video now, actually, because she's kind of like a stalker, but I digress. But at first, I made my page private for a while because I was so angry and frustrated and tired of being accused. But then, you know what? I said, you know what? I'm living my life. If she want to spend all her time accusing me of stuff that ain't true, that's on her. So, all right, what else we got? Do companies use third-party services for social media screening? Many of them do, Damien. They definitely do, because it can be a very time-consumptive process, you know, between Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you know. I guess you can't see the snaps, but, you know, TikTok now, there's just so much. So yes, some companies do. Renee says, I found out if you make a comment on someone else's post that it was public, your post is then public. Yes, Renee, that's exactly what I'm saying. Two, when you comment on anybody else's post, everybody who is friends with them can see your comments because their post was public. And so there are some settings I recall seeing at one point that you could do to try to fix that. But again, I don't really pay attention to that stuff because, you know, if I say it, I say it. I just try to be careful what I say. But yes, Renee, that is very true. So if you did not know that, hopefully Renee just gave you a tidbit as well. Marsha says, I have fans. Marsha, fans like you, I'll take. That lady, you have no idea what she put me through. I could like write like a horror movie on the saga of the many times she filed charges against me and made complaints about me and tried to insinuate that I was doing inappropriate things, and I had to be investigated. I have been investigated more times than anybody should ever have to be. Renee says she Googled herself and found some of the posts and they shocked her. So were you shocked that they were on Google, or or did you not remember making the post, or did you think it was a secret? I need more details, Renee, because I'm not clear about your shock. But Renee brings up a great point, right? When's the last time you Googled yourself? I actually Googled myself this past week, Renee. I actually was trying to see like what came up when you wrote my name. And so for me, at least the first few things were, you know, websites and things like that, because I have that. But I need to maybe go deeper into the pages. So Renee, are you gonna give us a little bit more? What was the shock part? Look, inquire. Oh, both. So you were shocked because you weren't expecting to see it and you didn't, and you thought it was private. Okay. So let's Renee's lesson be a lesson for us all. Do not write things on posts or in private groups and places that you think may or may not be seen, that you don't ever want seen somewhere else, because it's a possibility. And the other thing that people do, let's be honest, they screenshot stuff, right? How many times have people deleted a post and it still come back to haunt them because somebody screenshot it? So the lesson for us all is use social media to be social, right? Connect with your friends, be happy to catch up on people, find out what's going on. But maybe we shouldn't be using it for things that we think are private. You know, sometimes some of those things you need to take somewhere else offline, right? So, you know, that's our lesson. Well, guys, thank you so much for the engagement. Y'all made my day. Y'all made my week. I want y'all to know that. Because some days doing these videos and it's like crickets. So having some comments and some interaction is really good. I hope you guys have a great weekend. As a reminder, the replay of the Black Entrepreneurs Institute show is Sunday at 3 p.m. Of course, it's on the Empowered Living page, but I always do a watch party. So you can come to my page and watch it. Set a reminder. I know you guys love me and you want to support me, and I want your support. So set your reminders. And if you wouldn't mind, share it on your page. Maybe somebody you know can benefit from some of the information with myself, my 3 business partners who I love dearly, Damian Johnson, Nicole Rankin, Dr. Nicole Rankin, and Cedric LaFleur. Damien, what did you say? Don't put anything on social media that would shame your mama. Damien, while that is a true statement in general, some of our mamas would probably shame us. Have you seen some of these mamas? But I digress. But Damien's right. You know, I used to tell guys at work when I used to talk to people about using profanity at work, and they would always say, you know, Angela, it's just how I talk. You know, y'all got to get over it. Y'all too strict. And I would say, so tell me, who is that person in your life that you would never want to hear you say a foul word? Because for some people, it wasn't their mother. It was the grandbaby or their pastor or rabbi or whatever, right? And I used to always say, tell me who that person is. And then once they got that person's, you know, image and name in their mind, I would say, pretend they come to work with you every day. Not what you got, because right, when you're with them, you're not using it. So if you can stop for them, you can stop for us. But Damien's right. Don't put anything on social media that you don't want your mama to see. So thanks, guys. Check our show out Sunday, radio show Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate you. Love you all very dearly. You've made my weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Take care. Bye.